Hi everyone and welcome to the Curious Cortex. To begin, we are diving into the LGBTQIA plus spectrum. What each identity means, the psychology behind these experiences, and the science that helps us understand human diversity. Let's get started. You have probably seen this term a lot, but what exactly does it mean? LGBTQ plus is an umbrella term. Lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer or questioning, and the plus stands for many other identities. Some of these are about how someone understands their own gender, others are about who they are attracted to. Now let's separate two key ideas: sexual orientation and gender identity. Now coming to sexual orientation, it is about who you are romantically, emotionally and/or sexually attracted to. So, gay is often used for men attracted to men, lesbian refers to women attracted to women, bisexual attraction to more than one gender, pansexual attraction regardless of the gender, asexual or ace, little or no sexual attraction, heterosexual or straight attraction to a different gender. Now coming to gender identity is your personal sense of being male, female, both, neither or somewhere in between. So it is of three types: cisgender, transgender and non-binary. Cisgender, your gender identity aligns with your sex assigned at birth. Transgender is when your gender identity does not align with your sex assigned at birth. Non-binary is when you don't identify strictly as male or female. Sexual orientation, who you love, and gender identity, who you are different aspects of identity, and any combination is possible. Some people also use queer as a reclaimed umbrella term. Questioning describes people exploring their orientation or gender identity, which is a normal part of self-discovery. There is one more category which is denoted by the I in the spectrum, which is intersex. Intersex is a general term used for a variety of conditions in which a person is born with a reproductive or sexual anatomy that doesn't seem to fit the typical definitions of female or male. Being inclusive in everyday life matters. We often assume everyone is cisgender and straight, or we guess based on appearance. These assumptions can be invalidating. A simple way to show respect is to use a person's pronouns she or her, he or him, they or them, or combinations like she or they. If you are unsure, they is a safe start. Another aspect that we have to consider or we have to discuss while talking about the LGBTQIA plus community is coming out. Coming out means recognizing your identity and choosing to share it with others. It is deeply personal and the best responses are simple and supportive. There are 4 things you can do: listen, affirm, avoid assumptions and respect their privacy. Listen without interrupting. Affirm, I'm glad you told me. Avoid assumptions and jokes. Respect their privacy. Never out someone without permission. If a person from this community came out to you, that means they trust you. So, being understanding and supportive is the best thing you can do for them. Now, why does this matter? Because prejudice and discrimination still have real social and personal impacts. Stereotypes are often used to justify unequal treatment in work, parenting, or relationship recognition. On an individual level, stigma can lead to stress, anxiety, hiding one's identity, and worse health outcomes, especially when combined with other factors like race, religion, or disability. Social support is crucial. Discrimination can make it hard to find that support. Now, a key clarification that has to be made here is that homosexuality is not a mental disorder. Research finds no inherent link between gay or lesbian or bisexual orientations and psychopathology. These are normal variations in human sexuality and bonding, recognized as such by mainstream medical and mental health organizations. So you might be wondering, what about the conversion therapy? There is no scientifically adequate evidence that therapy to change sexual orientation is safe or effective. In fact, promoting it can reinforce harmful stereotypes and make the climate worse. Helpful therapy focuses instead on coping with stigma, resolving internal conflicts, and supporting a satisfying, self-determined life, respecting culture, age, gender, orientation, religion, socio-economic status, language, and disability. Adolescence can be a time of questioning and confusion. Some teens may experience same-sex feelings long before they tell anyone. Some may not identify as LGBT even if they have same-sex behavior. Others may try to conform to heterosexual expectations out of fear. Supportive families, schools, and communities can reduce risks like bullying, suicidal thoughts, or risky behavior and help youth thrive. The nature of the relationships and parenting are the two other aspects that I would like to talk about here. So, research counters old stereotypes, and same-sex and different-sex couples show similar levels of satisfaction, commitment, and stability. Many same-sex couples form long-term relationships. Stability likely improves where legal and social recognition is equal. Coming to parenting, children raised by lesbian and gay parents on average do not differ in development, adjustment, or well-being compared to children of heterosexual parents. Their social relationship and identities develop typically. Fears about increased abuse or identity problems are not supported by scientific evidences. So, how do we reduce prejudice? Visibility and contact help. People are more accepting when they know someone who's openly LGBTQ plus. Allies, especially heterosexual allies, play a major role by challenging the stereotypes, using inclusive language, advocating non-discrimination, and helping make coming out safer. So in the next part, we are going to see what science says about why orientation differ. There is no single cause of sexual orientation. Research explores genetic, prenatal hormones and brain development, neural correlates, and non-social environmental factors. Social environment has been studied too, but evidence suggests it does not determine orientation. Let's talk about neural correlates first. It means brain differences. Across several mammals, a region in the hypothalamus, the sexually dimorphic nucleus of preoptic area, in short known as SDNPOA, shows sex differences and relates to mating behaviors. A potentially homologous human region, INAH3, a nucleus in the anterior hypothalamus, differs by sex and was reported to differ on average between heterosexual and homosexual men in size and cell number. Follow-ups have been mixed with partial replication and limitations, including small samples. There is also evidence that parts of the anterior hypothalamus respond to hormone-like orders with patterns varying by sex and sexual orientation. Altogether, these findings suggest some brain regions may help process sex-related stimuli linked to basic attractions, though no single site determines orientation. Now, talking about the prenatal hormones and related physical or behavioral correlates, biological theories often focus on prenatal androgen exposure organizing fetal brain sites during sexual differentiation. Evidence from animals shows SDNPOA development is hormone sensitive. In humans, indirect clues come from characteristics influenced by prenatal hormones that also show sex differences and correlate with orientation, such as 2D/4D digit ratios, facial femininity or masculinity, autoacoustic emissions, height, and childhood gender role behavior. On average, gay men are shifted towards patterns typically of heterosexual women and lesbian women towards patterns typical of heterosexual men, consistent with relative differences in prenatal androgen exposure. Reviews suggest these correlations are more consistent in women than in men, especially for measures most closely tied to prenatal androgens like digit ratios and autoacoustic emissions. handedness is another correlate with a prenatal basis. Meta-analysis indicates elevated non-right-handedness among people with same-sex attraction, with stronger effects in women. Similar shifts have been observed in some asexual and bisexual groups. One interpretation is that prenatal development factors, including hormones, may influence lateralization, that is, how the brain divides tasks between the hemispheres. Clinical and quasi-experimental evidence adds weight. Women exposed to higher prenatal androgens due to congenital adrenal hyperplasia (CAH) show elevated rates of same-sex attraction compared to non-CAH women, even though most CAH women are exclusively heterosexual. Case series of boys reassigned as girls in infancy due to rare medical condition showed that despite female socialization, they typically grew up with gynephilic, that is, attracted to women orientations, suggesting early biological organization plays a durable role. The next factor that we are considering here is genetics. Here we will be talking about two main lines of evidence. First one is twin studies and second one is molecular genetics. Coming to twin studies, identical, that is, monozygotic twins share 100% of their genes, fraternal or dizygotic twins share 50%. Earlier targeted studies with selection bias risk reported 52% monozygotic concordance versus 17% dizygotic. Later, less biased studies found lower but still higher monozygotic than dizygotic concordance. 24% versus 15%. Modeling suggests overall about 32% of variance in genetic, 25% shared family environment and 43% individual specific environment. That's a modest but real genetic contribution. Now, coming to the molecular genetics, replication has been challenging because sexual orientation is complex and polygenic. Early lineage work reported that the XQ28 region in some samples, other studies didn't replicate, though later large studies again found signals at XQ28 and chromosome 8. Association studies with much larger samples, including a study of 500,000 individuals, found 5 loci associated with same-sex sexual behavior and supported a polygenic architecture, with some signals near genes involved in olfaction and sex hormone regulation. There is also epigenetic theorizing, developmental methylation patterns that might turn genes on or off, but evidence there is still limited and mixed. Another important aspect that we have to consider here is fraternal birth order effect, FBOE, and the maternal immune hypothesis. One of the best replicated findings in men is the fraternal birth order effect. Older biological brothers increase the odds that a later born male will be gay. The effect is not seen with older sister, step or adoptive brothers, or when the brothers have different mothers. It's been observed across cultures. The proposed mechanism is maternal immune response with each male pregnancy. Some mothers develop antibodies to Y-linked proteins that may subtly affect fetal brain development in later sons. Recent work has reported higher levels of antibodies to a male-specific protein, NLGN4Y, in mothers of gay sons, especially those with older brothers, consistent with this hypothesis. When researchers look at multiple biomarkers together, they often find little overlap. This suggests multiple partly independent pathways can lead to same-sex orientation in men. Some pathways may also be linked to gender non-conformity, potentially via prenatal mechanisms like maternal immune response. Now, the role of non-social versus social environment. The combined evidence implies that a substantial part of the environmental influence happens before birth and is thus non-social. Consistent with that, social environment, parenting style, recruitment or seduction myth, etc., does not appear to determine orientation. Many non-heterosexual adults recall same-sex attraction years before their first sexual experience. Classic psychoanalytic ideas tying orientation to parent-child dynamic lack strong empirical support, and therapies based on those theories are not validated. As for outcome for kids raised by same-sex parents, the evidence overall shows typical development. So, after considering all of these factors, it can be concluded that sexual orientation is not a choice and not caused by socialization or trauma. It is a complete trait shaped by biological and non-social environmental factors including genetics, prenatal hormones, brain organization, and maternal immune responses, with multiple pathways leading to the diversity we see. Now that we have familiarized about the LGBTQIA plus spectrum and the scientific reasons behind it, let's move on and talk about the Pride Month and the Pride flag. Pride Month is observed in June to honor the 1969 Stonewall Uprising, which became the spark that launched the modern LGBTQ plus rights movements. Pride is both a celebration of visibility and a reminder of ongoing struggles, from legal recognition and safety to healthcare access and social inclusion. It honors those who fought and those we lost and those still pushing for equality. The Pride flag is a symbol of the movement. In 1978, artist Gilbert Baker designed the original rainbow flag with 8 colors, each with a meaning, but the flag evolved into widely recognized 6-color version: the red denoting life, orange for healing, yellow sunlight, green nature, blue harmony or peace, violet spirit. In recent years, inclusive variations have highlighted communities within the spectrum. The Progress Pride flag adds a chevron with light blue, pink and white to represent trans and non-binary people, and black and brown to recognize marginalized communities of color and to memorialize those lost to HIV or AIDS. Some versions also include an intersex symbol, a purple circle on yellow, to represent intersex people. The message across these designs is the same: visibility, dignity, unity, and progress. Pride's significance is both historical and personal. Historically, it marks resistance to discrimination and a collective demand for equal rights. Personally, it offers many the first experience of feeling seen, celebrated, and safe, a powerful counterweight to stigma. As we wrap up, remember, LGBTQIA plus identities are valid, human, and diverse. Sexual orientation and gender identity are not chosen, not disorders, and not problems to be fixed. The real harm comes from stigma and discrimination. Harms we can reduce together through empathy, accurate information, and everyday inclusivity. Thank you for listening and for your openness for learning. Acceptance and love are the foundation of healthier people and stronger communities. Once again, thank you so much.